Hey everybody, welcome to another video review. This is a lot more casual. I'm sitting in my bedroom on my ottoman in front of my TV, and I wanted to just do a little quick review of this capture card. This is the AVerMedia Live Gamer Pro 2 Plus, and I thought I would just kind of take the time to go through this and add my 2 cents. This is not a new product. I think it's been around for a little bit of time, maybe a year or two. Obviously, it's reasonably recent since it has 4K pass-through capability. And this is my first capture card ever. The background on this is that I've never ever recorded video gameplay before, even though I've played video games and I love video games for most of my life. I haven't played quite as much recently, but I've never recorded gameplay or anything like that. So the whole sort of streaming, whatever Twitch scene has completely bypassed me. And anyways, I'm too old and don't have the time to do it anyways. And this all started because I decided to, what's the proper word? I decided to refine a trick for Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild on the Nintendo Switch by a guy named Cleric, spelled with a K, and he had put up a glitch where you can get infinite ancient parts from these certain guardians, and he had a very nice sort of tutorial on his channel, but it kind of lacked a little bit of fine detail in my opinion. There were certain areas that wasn't as clear, and I just wanted to add a little bit more detail. And I also found a wrinkle and a modification sort of for his trick that had, in my opinion, pretty far-reaching consequences. And so I went ahead and I made the video. It was quite long, and over time it's garnered a little bit of interest. It is an old game after all. And one of the comments on one of those videos was like, "Hey, you have a really cool trick." But what I had done is I had basically like this basically, I put this phone on a cheap little tripod, and then I just basically recorded myself playing the Switch underneath my iPhone camera. And the guy was like, "Well, it's a really neat trick. I like it." But he said your presentation is just frankly abysmal and unacceptable, with the whole situation. And he actually said, if you take this seriously, you can make a living out of it. And so I was appreciative of that constructive criticism. I didn't have at the time I didn't have the time, or I thought the energy to invest in something more professional. But later on, I began to play Killzone Shadowfall for the PS4, which is a whole nother story. I really enjoyed it. I didn't in the beginning, but I began to enjoy it actually quite a bit while I started playing it again. It's such an old game. It's a launch title for the PS4, of course, and the PS5 is around the corner. And I wanted to kind of showcase some of the strategies that I had come up with, and also integrated with some of the other strategies on YouTube from, for instance, Katana, for his Elite campaign walkthrough. And to do that, I really needed a capture card. So I did invest the time to read up on it, and this is the one I bought. And I wanted to get my thoughts after using it pretty extensively now. And this is sort of a little scary capture card. And the reason it's scary is because if you go on Amazon.com, you go to various tech places that sell it, Best Buy or whatever, the reviews are kind of mixed. I guess they would be mixed for almost anything these days, but it's kind of a little bit worrisome. Like, hey, is this thing work or not? There's a lot of complaints about it working, whatever. So I felt like it would be somewhat useful to just sort of talk about it and talk about my personal experience with it, because again, the reviews are a bit mixed. So this is actually what it is. Okay, I think it cost me about $120. I did buy it from Best Buy, and I think that's the cheapest. I think Best Buy has some sort of rebate on this or whatever, but I bought it for about $120 and change. And you can see it's pretty small. It's got nice rubber here so that it doesn't slip and slide when you put it on a surface. It's compact, so that's nice. I like the color palette, black and red. It's very elegant. Okay, and let's just kind of go over the highlights of what it comes with. It comes with a very, very short I'm kind of zoning out. Oh my God. It comes with a very short HDMI cable. And if you want to set this up with like PC and gaming situations or whatever, you might have to buy a longer HDMI cable yourself, which is not a big deal. It comes with a micro USB to regular USB port and a very simple speaker, headphone jacks and cables. And so the idea behind this is very similar to all these other capture cards. So normally how you use a capture card is you have to hook a HDMI cable from your video game unit of interest, whatever it may be, PlayStation, Xbox, or Nintendo, and that cable goes, to the capture card, okay? And then you have another HDMI cable going from the capture card to your screen, whether it's a computer screen, a monitor, or a TV. So game system to capture card to TV. And then of course it comes with a power, you have to power it up. And it's powered via a micro USB to USB. So this is the actual power slot. For convenience, I just simply hook up the AVerMedia directly to the PS4. And the PS4 is, again, powerful enough that it's able to power this just when the PS4 is on. So those are the back connectors, okay? The two HDMI. It's pretty simple, right? Not rocket science. The two HDMI ports, the power port. And then this little slot here is actually what sets the AVerMedia from all the other capture cards, to the best of my knowledge, is this is a slot for you to put a micro SD card. Oh, by the way, very important, you can see comparing it to my long fingernail that I have to cut. But this, you can see, is just the size. So don't screw up and buy like a regular SD card like I did. I had to return it. It's a micro SD card, okay? And you can slide the SD card in here. So why is that important? It's important, at least for me personally, because I'm not like a live Twitch streamer. I don't do this for a living. I don't have like a dedicated, office, whatever. I have a day job. And so I just do this like, as a hobby. And so for that, understand that in order for me to normally use regular capture cards, I would have to actually put the computer between also the card and the TV. And so if you want to normally stream live, this is not only the power cable, you also actually take this micro USB port and you actually take that cable and you connect it to your computer or laptop, and you download a capture card program onto your computer, and then you can just live stream or download it directly to the computer that way, right? Because all the data, essentially the capture card is capturing the data of your gameplay, and that data has to be saved somewhere, and classically it's obviously saved on the hard drive of a computer. You can also, of course, live stream, but you have to have that connection from the capture card to the PC. But I don't really want to do that because I'm not dedicated in doing that. And so, and I also do not want to have a laptop or a computer. It's just impossible. I don't even have a laptop these days. And I don't want to put a laptop or interplace a PC between my, gaming system and my TV. Which is why I want to buy this, because this is the only capture card in the unit where it actually allows you to save the data directly to a portable micro SD card. And nowadays, of course, these micro SD cards can go up to even, I think, 500 plus gigs. I bought, just a regular 120, I think 126, is it? Yeah, I bought the regular 126 micro SD, which is more than enough, by the way. So this is why I got that, okay? So that's the little port in the back. So in the front, you also have a jack for your headphone with speaker, which you can actually record directly into it. And then here is your other port for the controller, where if you want to do like chat and stuff like that, which I don't take much advantage of. Again, my setup is a lot simpler. And so in terms of when you put all this together, you hook it up, you have the following functionality, right? Because you have the switch here on the right, which gives you all the different functions. So if you slide the switch all the way to the right, like so, it turns this capture card into basically a simple memory stick, like a USB memory stick. And when you attach the micro USB cable through micro USB to USB to a computer, it acts as a essentially a storage device, and you can just easily transfer files from this capture card directly into your computer hard drive, which is very useful because if you don't have this function, in order for you to transfer the information from the micro SD card into the computer, you would have to remove the micro SD card, which, by the way, you may not think is that big a deal, but this slot is super tiny and super thin, and it doesn't go in and out all that easily. And so every time you have to like take this SD card out, it's kind of a pain in the butt. And on top of that, you also, of course, have to have a like micro SD to USB, jack, right? One of those little, converters, which I did buy for like 10, I think $15 or whatever. But I discovered that my instinct is you don't want to keep taking this in out over time. It may actually jack up the connection. So you want to just keep this micro SD card in there for the long haul. I think that's the way you're supposed to use it. And then you just basically disconnect it's simple, right? You just take out the HD cables, pop it out. This has to be connected anyways to connect to the computer, and you just basically simply put the switch over to the right, and that's how you transfer the information from the micro SD card to the computer to then edit to your heart's content or to upload to YouTube. So that's the switch all the way to the right. You can see here, the little arrow shows it's going to be a memory card. And if you do it in the middle setting is what you want this to be in if you want it to be PC free, which means that you don't want this guy to be connected to a computer. And when you put it in the middle, the software knows that all capture information will be sent directly to the SD card. If you put it to here, all the way to the left, then it will be in PC mode, at which point the capture card will then send the information to the computer directly and bypass your micro SD card. And in order for this to work, obviously, you have to have downloaded the AVerMedia software program that's compatible with this. Okay, so that's very important to know that the switch has to be in the correct position depending on what you're using this capture card for. This is very simple. This is just a volume switch for your mic. If you press up, it goes up. If you press down, it goes down. There's 5 levels. If you reach the very highest or maximum level and you keep pressing up like this, it will blink twice in blue to let you know, hey, you've gotten to the max level. You can also press and hold it for 2 seconds to hear your own echo so that you can assess how loud your voice is. Just for reference, when I talk, I don't scream into my mic, but I do tend to bring this all the way to the max. Okay, so you should probably be at max or just 1 slot below max, I think, for optimum voice quality and what you want to do. I have not used a party chat system. There were some complaints on the reviews that there was like static or there's some issues with it. I make simple videos, simple tutorials, simple walkthrough with comments, and I'm very single player oriented. So I just plug my, my jack in here, and I just basically, talk as I play. Okay. And that's really what I use it for, and I've had no problems with it, and the quality of the audio is pretty good. When you first buy this out of the box, understand that the settings do have to be changed. And so you do have to, in my opinion, you do have to actually download the software for this thing. Even if you, for instance, like technically, if you just use it only in PC free mode like I do, you don't even need the software, right? Because it's all it is information. It's just capturing data directly into the capture card, moving the data via USB mode, for instance, to the computer, and you just basically edit or not and upload to YouTube directly. The problem is that in order to change the internal software settings of the capture card, you can only access those settings through their AVerMedia software. And you do have to access it because I discovered this in one of my very, very first videos I uploaded to my YouTube channel. It's setting right out of the gate. The in-game or the in-video game sound is like really loud. And so when you have this on loud and the in-game sound is loud, it's just kind of a cacophony. It's like a mess, you know. And you're just fighting the audio because you're like screaming over each other. And you want to adjust, obviously, the HDMI volume from the TV and the game. You want to make that go down, right? Again, it's one of those situations where if you're not streaming like just simple gameplay, and you want to comment over the gameplay, which is part of what I want to do, you need to make the in-game sound lower and you need to increase your mic sound higher so that your voice dominates, obviously the soundtrack. And so to do that, you have to plug this into the computer. You have to plug like all of this stuff together. And when you plug it all together, that's when you have the ability to change those things, okay? So that's just a word to the wise. If you do commentary, you're gonna need to change the settings to make sure that that works. And this does have compatibility, by the way, with both Mac and PC. So that's what this button is, and you know what these ports are. And then this is your record button. You press it once to start recording, you press it again to stop recording. If it's off but powered on, it'll glow. It will glow. It'll be red when it's on, and ready to go. It'll glow steady blue, and then when you press it, it will actually show you the red, but flashing red. So flashing red means it's actively recording. Steady blue means it's on and ready to go, and steady red means it's off but powered. Okay, so that's the capture card in a nutshell. All the nuts and bolts, how to put everything together. So how does it work? Am I satisfied with it? Another thing, by the way, is this is 4K pass-through. It does not actually capture in 4K. It passes through in 4K so that this little device does not actually degrade the signal if you have like an awesome PS4 Pro or whatever. It records, I believe it records in 1080p, 60 frames per second. And I'll go by saying that I've used it only to record my PS4 Killzone Shadowfall. And while that game is a launch title for the PS4, it's a gorgeous game. They've done a lot of work. They did a lot of work on it. And I think it still, in my opinion, holds up. Even 6 years later, whatever your opinion on the story, characters, or gameplay, I think the graphics and effects hold up remarkably well. And if you want to go on my channel, this is going to be on my channel. You can check out the Killzone, videos I've uploaded, and you can see that it's excellent quality. So I'm absolutely very, very pleased with the quality of the recording. I feel like it is 1080p, in my opinion. It runs very well, or it runs certainly well enough on YouTube that I'm not embarrassed by it. It's pretty crisp, pretty clean. I've watched it myself. I think it's good. It's worked perfectly. There's been no problems with glitches or whatever. And I've used it to record the entire game from chapter 1 to chapter 10, several hours worth, elite mode campaign with commentary. And the longest videos that go like maybe over an hour and no problems. I've also used to record it. I've also used this to record, for instance, some pearls and tips and tricks and to highlight certain sections. And I just used it, believe it or not, yesterday for a 5-hour marathon. I wanted to try to complete Killzone Shadowfall on the Elite campaign without saving and without losing a life. And that's a very, very difficult task to achieve. Again, I'm sure if somebody cared, they would easily do it. This is the internet after all. But I don't think the game was popular enough to justify that level of commitment. And I think mine might be the very first one that's ever taken the time to make that happen. It is difficult to do. It's not the most difficult thing in the world. There's plenty of speed runs, for instance, much, much more difficult. But it's an accomplishment I'm really happy with. And of course, when you're doing it, the whole idea behind it is you can't break it up. You can't save. And to prove you didn't save it, you have to go through essentially the entire game in one go. So that took me a good 5 hours to do. And this little card captured all 5 hours. It was like 38 to 40 megs, not megs, gigs, 38 gigs of memory of the 126 gig micro SD card. It took up over a third of it. And I transferred it to my computer and I watched all 5 hours. And in the entire 5 hours, there was like maybe three little glitches, like three little tiny, blips in the entire thing. So three blips of 1 second each in 5 hours of recorded high definition 1080p gameplay. As far as I'm concerned, like that's good enough for me. I think I got, I'm very pleased with it. So I really put this through the fire, I think, for that. And it's held up really, really well. So I'm very pleased with this overall. And so there's, again, a lot of controversy. A lot of people are complaining. They're just saying this thing is garbage and it doesn't work. It's horrible quality. And, that's fine. But for my simple type of use, for what I put it to use as, like live commentary where I play my occasional game that I really love and I happen to want to spend time on, this is, in my opinion, well worth the $110, $120 I paid for it. Obviously, in my opinion, the number one thing that this gives me that no other capture card can is it allows me to go PC free. And and doing it with 1080p 60 frames per second, PC free, that makes this a huge winner in my book. And really, there's no competition. This is the only card that gives you that. So if you are like a professional gamer or streamer or something like that, obviously, and you have a rig, have your own private room, and the PC's basically you bought the PC just for that, then this doesn't apply to you. But this is for more casual people, and these things have gotten cheaper, more user-friendly, much better. And so, guys like me who have a day job and who just want to occasionally put out some content on games they happen to love, it's nothing earth-shaking. This is perfect for you. Perfect price point, perfect convenience, perfect size. So there you have it, okay? And it does give you a file in .mov format for whatever that's worth, which you can easily convert to others if you wish. But you can, upload a movie file, MOV file to YouTube with no issues. So anyways, I hope this helped some of you maybe who's on the fence or who's looking into buying a reasonable capture card from someone who's not like a techie, who's not like a professional streamer or gamer. This is, in my opinion, a great product and great, value for the price. And, it's done very well by me. So I think a lot of some of the problems could just simply be people not really completely understanding how to use it because the instructions can be a little bit confusing. It's not the most intuitive interface, and you do have to go to their website to get more detailed instructions. The instructions that comes with this is sort of more like a quick startup, version, very similar to what you would get from Apple products, except obviously Apple products are infinitely better designed and more user-friendly than this thing. And so it doesn't really quite work with a device like this. And I think that is probably the cause of a lot of the frustration and complaints. But if you take your time, go on YouTube, do your little research, I think you will find this to be well worth your while. The one thing I forgot to talk about, sorry, I was almost done. It was like 23 minutes already. And I do tend to ramble on. The one thing that's kind of frustrating is that you can't do, there's no wireless, okay, with this. A wireless headphone doesn't work with this. If you want to do commentary, and I've tried to find ways around it and do all this research, it doesn't really work, okay? You can't put an adapter here to basically connect with the wireless. You might be able to jury rig it, but I haven't found a way. And I've asked various people, watch a lot of YouTube videos, done a lot of searches, went on the Reddit forums and other PS forums. I don't think anybody's really found a real way of being able to use a wireless headphone with speaker so that your commentary is captured without a direct plug. And so what I did was I just bought a run-of-the-mill $50 headphone with a mic. And then I bought a extension, right, male to female extension, and I just basically plugged it in. So it's I think to be safe, you should probably have something in the 6 feet range. 8 or 10 feet is even better. And as you can see, this is where I am with the distance from my TV. And you have to, the capture card basically sits right over here. It's connected to my PlayStation 5, and then this is the extender, the cord to put in here. And so I had to buy the headphone and also the extender. So that's one caveat is, I wish that was there because it's kind of, I hate dealing with cables, and I hate having this headphone connected to this thing and you just feel tethered to this thing. but there's no way around that. The technology, at least for this, is not there yet where you can just use a wireless headphone that can be wirelessly transmitting your, I guess if you think about it, it's quite an ask. You're asking essentially to have the capability of wirelessly transmitting your commentary to the capture card and having the capture card capture it without loss, without fidelity loss, without wire. Maybe in a couple of years, but at least not today. So that's just something I have to put up with. And trust me, I really tried to do my research, try to figure out a way around this, and I wasn't able to. So anyways, there you go. So this is my review of the AVerMedia Live Gamer Portable 2 Plus. A very long, laborious name. And I hope, again, that you found this somewhat useful and that you, can use this review to decide that this is indeed something that, you're interested in getting. I don't think you'll regret it. Okay, take care.